This week in sports, Mark Sanchez was stabbed in Indianapolis, but he was then placed under arrest in the hospital for battery with injury, unlawful entry into a motor vehicle, and public intoxication, and it's still only the second worst fumble of his life. You can't come back from that. And speaking of coming back, that was the trend in football this week, but I also know a team that didn't make a comeback and a team that didn't have to make a comeback. The NHL started back up on Tuesday night, but our plates are already full, so let's get into some postseason baseball and some good old football. This is number 175 of Hoagies and Pierogis. Recorded in central Pennsylvania in front of a live studio audience with your host Ian DiCarlo, this is Hoagies and Pierogis. So yes, that whole Mark Sanchez thing is really unfortunate. He was just probably drunk out of his mind and tried to break into someone else's car, apparently. I don't know what... It was over a fight over a parking spot or something? I have no idea. I don't know the exact details, and I really don't want to speak on it until it's fully... And I kind of don't want to speak on the details until it's fully, fleshed out. Speaking of that, I think I owe KYREN LACY an apology. We'll get into that, though. We got to go over baseball first. Okay, this is the only Pirates little tidbit of news that I have here, because obviously they're not in the postseason, and it doesn't really even have to do with the Pirates so much. But now I really don't feel bad after stealing that Clemente jersey, because the dude that fell from the Clemente wall that threw out the first pitch 2 weeks ago just got charged with prowling at his ex-girlfriend's home. I also heard he showed up to court in a hoodie and jeans. Both he and the franchise are pieces of shit. All right, we got to clean up the wild card series from last week. Only 2 wild card series have gone to Game 3 since the multi-game wild card was installed in 2022. But this year, that happened in 3 out of the 4 series. Sorry, Reds. Okay, we left off on Game 2 of most of these games last week. So let's go over the Tigers at the Guardians first. In Game 2, the Guardians tied the series at 1 apiece with a 5-run 8th inning after the game was tied at 1 until that point, and won 6-1. And in Game 3, the Tigers had a similar offensive outburst in Game 3, except in the 7th inning. That put them up 6-1, and the Tigers had some errors that let the Guardians score 2 more, but the final score stood at 6-3 Tigers. All that drama at the end of the season, losing the division lead, was all for nothing for the Tigers, and they'll play the Mariners in the AL Divisional Series. Okay, Padres-Cubs. Game 2 was all Padres, 3-0. The Padres held the Cubs to only 4 hits, and in Game 3, that was all Cubs, 3-1. The Padres held the Cubs to only 13 hits. The Cubs will be playing the Brewers in the NLDS. Okay, let's move on to the Yankees-Red Sox series. The Red Sox won Game 1, but Game 2 was tied at 1 for a while, just like Game 1 was, but after exchanging leads to get to 3-3, the Yankees said enough, and Austin Wells drove home Jazz Chisholm to make it 4-3, where it would stand after the bottom of the 8th. Jazz had a great game after he was benched in Game 1, where he was looking like Tyler the Creator in the locker room afterwards. But in Game 3... oh, Schlitt. Cam Schlittler did not schlit the bed, going 8 innings with 12 strikeouts, and the Yankees got to early with all 4 of their runs coming against him, and they shut out the Red Sox with Bednar closing it out to go to the ALDS against the Blue Jays. The Yankees are now the only team to lose Game 1 in the 3-game wildcard format and move on. All right, Reds, sorry, you didn't make it to a Game 3. Time is up for you. They made it interesting, but I'm sure the Mets or Diamondbacks would be in the same position. The Dodgers were just way too much for the Reds to handle, and they won 8-4. All right, divisional series. Game 1 of the Dodgers-Phillies on Saturday. The Phillies did it. They actually sold the 999 challenge with mini dogs and flight-size beers. Someone brought up a good point. It was, I believe that... who's that new girl on John Boy that just joined this season? But she brought up a good point that said, and she said the buns started to get stale after a while, which, yeah, you should be getting fresh hot dogs for the 999 challenge. Ohtani started Game 1 for the Dodgers and went 6 innings with 9 strikeouts, but 3 earned runs, and he left with the Phillies leading 3-2. But the very next inning after Ohtani was pulled, Teoscar Hernandez hit a 3-run shot that put the Dodgers up for good, 5-3. Hiroki Sasaki got the save. And honestly, I didn't even realize that he was on the postseason roster. In game 2, it seemed like deja vu. 6 innings pitched, 9 strikeouts, a save from Sasaki, and a 4-run 7th inning. I mean, it was the same exact game as game 1, except Blake Snell did it. Oh, and the Dodgers, they took a 2-0 lead on the Phillies. Why can't the Phillies do shit in October? Because they try to bunt runners to third instead of just swinging the bat with no outs and a runner on second. Game 3 is going to be Yoshinobu Yamamoto for the Dodgers and Aaron Nola for the Phillies, so I honestly don't have high hopes as the Dodgers go for the sweep tonight. Okay, game 1 of the Cubs-Brewers series. The Cubs thought that they did something by hitting a leadoff home run, but the Brewers blew game 1 wide open, scoring 9 runs in the first 2 innings. The Cubs didn't even have a chance, and Matt Boyd didn't even make it through the first inning. The Brewers won 9-3. And in game 2, the Cubs thought that they were doing something again by scoring 3 runs in the first. But the Brewers just shit on their party and scored 3 runs of their own in the bottom of the first. The Cubs scored no more runs the rest of the game, and the Brewers won 7-3. That is 13 consecutive playoff games with 3 runs or less for the Cubs. In Game 3, it was Priester versus Tyon because, of course it was, the battle of former Pirates pitchers. Priester was supposed to be the Tyon replacement for the Pirates, but obviously that didn't work out. And I can tell you right now that on Wednesday, the Cubs are up 4-1 in the Brewers, breaking their 13-game streak of 3 runs or less in the playoffs. All right, Yankees-Blue Jays. After Cam Schlittler did that amazing performance against the Red Sox, you were like, oh, the Yankees have all the momentum in the world. Nope. The Yankees got blown out in game 1, 10-1, behind 4 runs in the 7th and 8th inning from the Blue Jays and 2 Alejandro Kirk home runs. Well, game 2 wasn't much better for the Yankees as they lost 13-7, and in fact, it may have been worse because the Blue Jays were up 12-0 after 5 innings. Blue Jays up 2-0. It seemed easy for him. Game 3, more of the same domination from the Blue Jays. Vlad Jr. with a home run in all 3 games so far. The Yankees intentionally walked him in the 3rd inning, and he was the least of their worries as he came all the way around to score with a huge dive from outside around the home plate circle. Rodon was still out there after giving up 4 runs in 2.1 innings, so the Yankees basically just gave up because he allowed another hit that let 2 more runs cross the plate. It was 6-1 Blue Jays at that point. But the Yankees were kind of hanging around in there. They got a couple more runs to make it 6-3, and then Aaron Judge tied it at 6 in the 4th inning, and then Jazz hit a solo home run in the 5th inning to make it 7-6 Yankees. They're not dead yet. The final ended up being 9-6 Yankees, and they are the first team to win a game down by 5+ runs facing a sweep. The previous teams went 0-38 in that same scenario. Schlittler will go in Game 4 against the Blue Jays on Wednesday night, and it's too bad that I couldn't add this game this week. Another one that we'll have to go over next week. All right, well, here's the only series that seems competitive. Game 1, the Tigers stole a game from the Mariners in Seattle in 11 innings, and they won 3-2. But the Tigers spent 7 bullpen arms to get it done. And on the flip side, the Mariners also used 6 bullpen arms. In Game 2, Jorge Polanco hit 2 solo home runs off of Tarek Skubal, and Julio Rodriguez drove in big dumper for the deciding run as the Mariners took Game 2 3-2. Both teams were pretty light on the bullpen in this one, so expect that to get depleted in Game 3 by both teams. They both want to win this Game 3. It's kind of pivotal. The Mariners took the rain-delayed Game 3 8-4, and Big Dumper got his first home run of the postseason at the top of the 9th that gave them a nice cushion and a needed cushion at that point. And it went straight to the guy who wore his Dump 61 here shirt, and he got his wish, catching Rowley's 61st home run on the year. And he also just immediately took off the Dump 61 here shirt off and had a Dump 62 here shirt. And it looked like he had a third one under there that, if I had to take an educated guess, would say, take a dump on my chest because this guy is obsessed with Cal Rayleigh. In Game 4, the Dump 62 guy was still sitting in the same spot. And the Mariners got out to a 3-0 lead in Game 4, but the Tigers tied the game in the bottom of the 5th and tacked on 5 more runs in the 6th inning. The final score was 9-3 Tigers, and the series will go back to Seattle for Game 5, another game which we'll have to cover next week. Okay, we got to get into college football. And on last Friday, Kyren Lacy was exonerated in his negligent homicide case because he was actually nearly 75 yards behind the vehicle at the time of impact and was not the cause of the accident at all. I really do think that I owe him an apology. Straight up. I am sorry. But where was this video before this all happened? This all sucks, and I do sincerely apologize, but now I have no idea why he literally crashed out and shot himself if he knew he was 100% innocent. I get, outside pressure, but you weren't even close to the accident. Not even close. And he killed himself over it. Again, you're making it pretty hard to feel bad for you. I do apologize, but I don't necessarily feel bad. No, not really. Oh, okay, but this is from yesterday at 1:39 from Colin Rugg on Twitter. He said, Justin, new video evidence appears to contradict claims made by ESPN announcers and the lawyer for LSU star Kyren Lacy for his alleged part in a deadly 2024 car crash. This is in relation to the tweet that just came out, not the first alleged incident last year. Lacy's attorney, Matthew Ory, recently released footage suggesting Lacy was set up and was innocent of the crash that killed 78-year-old Herman Hall. Ory shared footage appearing to show Lacy in the green Charger 100 yards away when the crash took place. ESPN announcers and other sports commentators are reacting to Ory's new statements in footage, saying Lacy was wrongfully blamed. New footage, however, appears to show Lacy speeding in the opposite traffic lane, passing multiple cars on the wrong side of the road just seconds before the crash. The Louisiana State Police says Lacy's reckless driving caused a female driver to swerve into oncoming traffic to avoid a collision. Lacy was the primary cause of the chain of events leading to the fatal crash, said Louisiana State Police, who cited witnesses on the scene. Fuck you, Kyren Lacy. Fuck off. Apology rescinded. Burn in hell, Kyren Lacy. All right, but what happened in week 6? Penn State may as well have offed themselves. This was horrible. UCLA beat Penn State 42-37. Now, they just fired their head coach 2 weeks ago, so they didn't even have a head coach. This was an interim coaching staff just thrown together. Just fire everyone. This is pitiful. UCLA, possibly the worst team in the Power 4, not just the Big Ten, got their first win of the season against this god-awful PSU team. What is this? That was UCLA's first win against a top 10 team since 2010, and the first top 10 win for a 0-4 team since 1985. UCLA, who hadn't led a game all season, led the entire game. Please just clean house. I would rather be bad and have surprising wins than be good and have 2 or 3 of the most soul-crushing losses every single fucking year. God damn it. And I guess to take some heat off of them, they announced they'll be wearing their throwback white-collar uniforms against Northwestern this weekend. Anything to draw eyes, I guess. I mean, if they lose to Northwestern, the collar should shrink until their heads pop off. Ohio State won handily, and then we had number 3. I'm just going through this in order of ranking from last week. Number 3, Miami. At number 18, Florida State. And Miami came in and took care of business. Carson Beck, whenever you have 4 touchdowns with less than 300 yards, it was an easy day for you. Miami won 28-22. Oklahoma shut out Kent State 44-0. Texas A&M beat Mississippi State 31-9, which I was hoping for Mississippi State to cover there. And then Texas at Florida. Arch Manning is really just out here throwing floaters. I might be able to throw the ball harder than Arch. It's bad. This is just sad. And Florida came to dominate. They said, fuck last week. We're going to be here this week to beat the brakes off Texas. Not even beat the brakes off of them. They only won 29-21. But it looked a lot worse than 29-21. You know, things will go well for Florida when Lagway doesn't throw 5 interceptions. He was 21 for 28 with 298 yards and 2 touchdowns. All right, next up, Vanderbilt at Alabama. I really feel like this one slipped away from Vandy. But you know what? Bama, I might be changing my mind about Bama a little bit. It might have taken a year for Kalen DeBoer to really get his bearings. And for, week 1 to kind of whoop him into shape. But, this Alabama team might not be as bad as I thought. They beat Vanderbilt 30-14. And actually, Vanderbilt did not score in the second half at all. Texas Tech won. Georgia won. Oh, Iowa State. Iowa State was upset by Cincinnati this week, 38-30, because they were without their 2 starting corners and 2 kickers. I was like, what, really? Rocco Becht had to throw the ball 48 times, and they still did not win. Michigan beat Wisconsin. Boise State, Maddox Madsen threw 4 interceptions, so that was a pretty easy win for Notre Dame, 28-7. Illinois beat Purdue 43-27, and Virginia beat Louisville in overtime. Oh, and a little side note here. I think things are starting to fall apart at UNC because parents are starting to get involved now. And when you hear news about parents, you fucked up somewhere along the way, Belichick. Get rid of that god-awful girlfriend that you have and start focusing on football. They didn't even post any Drake May highlights on Sunday or Monday. Like, what? Okay, for the rankings, nearly everyone moved up because Penn State and Texas are no longer ranked. Penn State's best win is against Vanderbilt. Miami jumped Oregon, which they should because now they're 5-0 and they have that win over Florida State. Texas A&M up to 5. They jumped Oklahoma, who moved down to 6. Alabama up to 8. Texas Tech 9. Georgia 10. LSU 11. Tennessee moved up 3 spots to number 12. Georgia Tech's number 13 and they're 5-0. Missouri's also 5-0. They're 14. Michigan 15. Notre Dame 16. Damn, Vanderbilt moved down 4. Iowa State moved down 8. I'm surprised they're not unranked. And then Florida State moved down 7 to number 25. Memphis and South Florida are now ranked. Interesting. I'm kind of interested in Mizzou down here at number 14. I think Prabula is doing very well for them. Unfortunately, he's doing a lot better than Aller. But Ohio State has 40 first-place votes, and Michigan is 21, so they're catching up there. Or sorry, Miami. I said Michigan. Miami has 21 votes for first, not Michigan. Jesus. All right, what do we got on the slate for next week? Iowa at Illinois. I don't know if that should be a good game or not. I think Illinois is going to get the shit beat out of them. Oh, here they are. Oh, what did I just say? Alabama at Mizzou. This is Mizzou's chance to prove themselves. Oh, shit. That's going to be a great game. Oh, circled. That's at 12 o'clock. Absolutely. Oh, and then another big one. Indiana at Oregon. Number 7, Indiana at number 3, Oregon at 3:30. There's my 3:30 game I'm watching. 100%. Red River rivalry. Oklahoma at unranked Texas. Oh, man. Florida's going to Texas A&M. That might be interesting. Michigan's going to USC. That might also be interesting. South Carolina's going to be at LSU. Ooh, good slate of games this week. Hell yes. Well, now I can just kick back and kind of enjoy college football instead of having to worry about Penn State. So, how do you lose to UCLA? Fucking Nico Ameliava beat you. Come on. Man, you know I'm a Nico hater, and it just sucked even more to see him beat Penn State. But it is kind of funnier that they might go like 1-11 with their only win coming against Penn State. All right, that's it for college football. Going to be a really good week next week. Let's get into week 5 of the NFL. And this week was all about comebacks. There were 6 teams that made double-digit comebacks, the most in 1 week since 2013. And those teams were the Broncos, Titans, Saints, Panthers, Commanders, and Jaguars on Monday night. All right, the Thursday night game last week, the 49ers at the Rams. Mac Jones. Uh-oh. Did the 49ers have a quarterback controversy? 342 yards and 2 touchdowns? Kendrick Bourne is his favorite target. He had 10 receptions and 142 yards. Wow. 49ers rolling even with all the injuries. Because you got Mac Jones back there. All right, Sunday, another early game. Let's go. I love these 9:30, 10 o'clock games. London game, Vikings at the Browns. I wonder if the Vikings stayed overseas since they were in Dublin last week. And they might have because Jordan Addison was held out of the first quarter as a coach's decision because according to a random Twitter account that commented on Adam Schefter's post, the team had no idea where he was as of Saturday. Man, Judkins looked really good in this game, and honestly, Gabriel didn't look bad either. But it was Wentz to Jordan Addison, the man who could not be found on Saturday for the game winner. 21-17 Vikings in London. But there was 25 seconds left, and there was enough time for a Hail Mary. The Browns ended up getting to the 50-yard line, and that's when they tried the Hail Mary. But Kevin O'Connell decided to try to ice the passer. Have you ever heard of that? Have you ever heard of a coach giving a quarterback a second chance at a Hail Mary? No! Why would you ice the passer? They did try to get closer on the next play, but the wide receiver was tackled inbounds, and the clock ran out. The Vikings won 21-17, and Browns quarterbacks are now 0-17 in their first career starts for the team. For some reason, I didn't write any notes on this game. This was one of the comebacks, the Broncos at the Eagles. The Broncos won the game after looking like they were flailing for such a long time, and the Eagles just couldn't get anything going in the second half. I think Barkley was hurt at some point. I don't know if he left the game or not, but there was definitely something that changed for the Eagles, and maybe not for the Broncos, because the Broncos offense, I don't trust the Broncos offense. Colts blew out the Raiders 40-6. The Ravens are riddled with injuries and got blown out by the Texans 44-10. But we can still blame someone for this loss, and I think that falls on Ozzie Newsome, who went out and got Cooper Rush to back up Lamar instead of re-signing Tyler Huntley. Why would you ever do that? They're completely different quarterbacks. But I think it also falls in Harbaugh since they got blown out this bad. This is not a good Texans team, and they've had offensive woes all season long. I get that you're super injured, and Marlon Humphrey was inactive, but this was just bad. The Ravens are now 1-4. I also had to buy Miller Lite with a Ravens logo since we're staying in Maryland, and I felt like buying out the stock and shooting all the cases like Kid Rock.
Let me say something to all you and be as clear and concise as possible.
All right, Cowboys at Jets. Jerry Jones flipped off a Jets fan and was fined $250,000 for it. Like, come on. There was obviously no malice there, and he did it for a joke. But the Cowboys whooped on the Jets, who are now the only team without a win at 0-5. Cowboys won 37-22. Panthers at the Dolphins. The only note that I had here was that the Panthers suck. But somehow, the Dolphins suck more. How did they lose this game? Does McDaniels want to be fired? I don't understand. How did the Panthers come back? I don't even know. Darren Waller had a great game. He had like 5 catches, 78 yards, and a touchdown. Another good one, and I think I might start him over Tucker Kraft even this week. All right, Saints beat the Giants 26-14, and I knew that I should have started the Saints defense against a rookie quarterback. God damn it. They ended up getting 20 points to the Broncos, a respectable 7 against the Eagles. All right, for the 425 slate, I wasn't paying attention to these games at all because I was playing Ghost of Yote and watching my PS5 crash over and over and over. God damn it. Yote is crashing my PS5, and I don't know what to do besides buy another PS5. The last time I played, it didn't crash, and I played for like 2 hours straight, so fingers crossed. But I don't have much hope. But yeah, Commanders at Chargers. Did the Giants break the Chargers? The Commanders won 27-10 and were another team to make a double-digit comeback. Lions beat the Bengals 37-24, and this was the David Montgomery game in Cincy as he rushed for a touchdown and threw for one as well. I did not realize that this was his hometown, so I probably should have been expecting a down game from Gibbs. And today on Tuesday, the Bengals just traded for Joe Flacco. This was a huge, huge surprise. I did not see this coming at all. So now the Browns are going to roll with Gabriel and Shadur Sanders. But yeah, Jake Browning is not getting it done for the Bengals. They needed a change there. Oh, Buccaneers at Seahawks. Mika Egbuka is the offensive rookie of the year. 7 catches, 163 yards, and a touchdown. The Bucs won a shootout in Seattle, 38-35. He was a huge reason why I won this week in fantasy. Diggs doubled his points. Egbuka doubled his points. And I believe I had another player double his points as well. Darren Waller doubled his projected points. All right, Titans at the Cardinals. Why? Why can players not hold on to the ball when they cross the goal line? It doesn't make any sense. DeMarcado just decided to let the ball go, even with a defender right behind him. Jonathan Gannon ripped into him on the sideline. Good. Beyblade let it rip on his dumbass. And then he walked away. I really didn't think it was a punch. It was more of a, hey, now let's get back on track after you did that stupid shit kind of hit. It was emotional, but it's not like he cocked back and like punched his player. That was a huge reason why the Titans were able to get their first win of the season. They won 22-21 against the Cardinals. All right. You know what's up next. The Patriots at the Bills for Sunday Night Football. Bills wearing their rivalries jerseys, and I'll admit they did look clean. And on the first play from scrimmage, who gets the ball? Stephon Diggs, that's right. But honestly, nothing much of that on the first drive other than that catch. On the next drive, the Patriots got the fumble off a botched handoff, and honestly, the Bills were building momentum there. They probably would have scored that touchdown. But literally the next play, Stevenson fumbled it right back. Stevenson, what the absolute fuck? God damn it. Fuck. Bench him. Is what I said at that point in the game. But Marcus Jones had a great pass defense to get the Bills to punt on their next drive, which saved Stevenson's ass. But Pats couldn't do anything either. They had to punt the ball. And on the next drive, the Bills already have had 2 1st and 17s in the first quarter. That's such a weird stat. 2 first down and 17s. That barely ever happens. And Keon Coleman fumbled on that 1st and 17. It was Pat's ball at the 11. But god damn it, this was a defensive struggle of a game for the most part, and they couldn't do anything with it. But they did get on the board first. They were up 3-0 on the Bills. The Bills had 5 penalties, and Diggs had 1 catch in the first quarter. On the next drive, it was the first catch against Gonzo in the second quarter on that long Josh Palmer catch. It was 23 yards. And the Bills tied it up at 3 after Shakir was mauled by 6 Patriots on a busted RPO. But then on the ensuing kickoff, that's where Antonio Gibson tore his ACL, and he'll be out for the season. Honestly, that's kind of a huge loss. He's been their change of pace back, and he's been doing an effective job, a very effective job at it. I think we'll miss him a lot. All right, so we had some back and forth here. It was stalling out a bit. Diggs got a couple more catches. Milton Williams got a sack to force the punt. And there were so many penalties on the Bills. It was crazy. May almost got it to Hunter Henry, and he should have had that ball going into halftime. But they settled for 3 with 1 second left to make it 6-3. And the Bills had 8 penalties in the half. My God. Bills got the ball to start the second half, and they got the touchdown right out of the gate. It was 10-6, and I was like, oh, no, this is the beginning of the end. Please, no. But all right, Stevenson, keep doing that and not fumbling. 13-10 Pats after a long pass to Diggs. On the next Bills drive, Josh Allen intercepted. Marcus Jones, you have been on one the past few weeks. With all the punt returns and your great pass defenses in this game, my God, keep going off, please. Diggs had over 100 yards before the fourth quarter. Stevenson scored on the pitch, and it was 20-10 Patriots. No fucking way in the fourth quarter. But then Joshua Farmer, come on. Cook was obviously down. His knee was clearly down. You can't come in and just wreck him like that. That helped the Bills on that drive, and Coleman got the touchdown, and it was 20-17, still Patriots. On the next drive, another Patriots flag, and May had to run out of bounds, and the Pats had to punt with 6 minutes left. I was shitting my pants at this point. So now the Bills had the ball, and there was a pass interference on Jack Gibbons. Fuck, that was penalty number 8. We basically caught up to the Bills in amount of penalties in 1 quarter. But thank God Gonzo didn't get flagged for that final pass defense, and the Bills got a field goal out of it. It was 20-20 now, and there was 2 minutes and 17 seconds left. On the drive that was for his life, Drake May, how did you complete that pass with the defender all over you to Diggs for his 10th catch and 146 yards? That was absurd. Defender literally pulling him to the ground. Gets the ball off to Diggs, and Diggs comes back for it, gets the first down. Drive keeps going. On the next play, Booty, you've been quiet most of the game, but that was a clutch catch. That basically got him into field goal range. So they kept inching closer and closer, but the 52 yards was as close as they could get for a field goal. My butthole was so tight before then because Andy Borgalis hasn't been the best. But he made it from 52 to make it 23-20. That would have been good from 72. Fuck yes. Josh Palmer caught the ball for some reason and then was just tackled in bounds to end the game. And I could not believe what I was seeing. This was a huge, huge game for everyone involved. Drake May especially. He didn't have any touchdowns, but he also didn't have any interceptions. And he was 22 for 30 with 273 yards. Just a clean game. And Gonzo was on fire. Christian Gonzalez, pay the man. Pay him. He had 1 pass breakup, 6 tackles, and was targeted only 4 times and allowed just that 1 23-yard catch to Josh Palmer. Lock him down this offseason. Patriots win 23-20. All right, Jaguars-Chiefs. Chiefs at Jaguars on Monday night. Chiefs were up 14-0 after Travis Swift TD and a Mahomes rushing TD. And the Jags made it 14-7 before halftime, and it was basically a typical Trevor Lawrence suckfest until that last drive. Coming out of the half, the Jags scored in their opening possession to tie the game, and it's almost like that came out of nowhere. The game should not have been tied at 14 at that point. Then, so close, get so far for the Chiefs. They get all the way down to the 1-yard line. But then the Jags took an interception, 99 yards all the way the other way to the house. Devin Lloyd, I said he was flying all over the place last week, and he continued to do it this week. It was 21-14 Jaguars after that. And the Chiefs punted, but then there's the Trevor Lawrence that we all know. Threw a pick right when they got the ball back inside their own 20. Kareem Hunt scored 2 plays later, and the game was tied at 21. Then the Jags got a field goal with like 9 minutes left to make it 24-21, but then the Chiefs just held onto the ball. They made it all the way down the field, got a touchdown. Another Kareem Hunt touchdown to make it 28-24 with 1:45 seconds left, and it was looking bleak for the Jaguars. But, I think we've seen this more this year than any other year. Butker could not keep the ball in bounds. I don't know what is up with kickers and not being able to keep it in bounds and in the landing zone, but they're having a lot of trouble keeping it in bounds with the landing zone rule. I don't know why. So it was Jags ball on the 40, but then Trevor Lawrence with great passes to Brian Thomas Jr. and Diami Brown on their last drive. And then, again, head scratcher. Trevor Lawrence can look so good, but then look so dumb on the same drive. They had to take a delay of game to avoid using their last timeout. What are you doing? There were like 38 seconds left at that point. And then after that delay of game, the ball was tipped in the end zone and intercepted by the Chiefs. But wait, there was pass interference. No way. And the ball was at the 1. Holy shit. They got so lucky. The Jaguars are insanely lucky. And they got even more lucky on this last play because Trevor Lawrence tripped not once, but twice, got the ball, collected the ball back up, ran into the end zone for the touchdown, and the Jaguars went up 31-28. How? The Chiefs got the ball with 16 seconds left after the kickoff, but the Hail Mary was no good, and the Jaguars survived. They are now 4-1. It was a very good week of football. Yes, it was. Of NFL football, I should say. All right, but yes, week 6 here? Yeah, Eagles at Giants is the Thursday night game. Patriots at the Saints. Oh, my God, please just go off in this one, Patriots. Broncos at the Jets. That Broncos defense is going to kill the Jets. Colts are going to crush the Cardinals. Dolphins, Chargers, toss-up. Browns and Steelers both coming off a bye week there. Ooh, Seahawks, Jaguars at 1 o'clock. All right, I'm into it. Hell yeah. Rams at Ravens. Hopefully Lamar Jackson's back to make that a competitive game at all because the Rams are going to shit on the Ravens if it's still Cooper Rush back there. Titans, Raiders, Bengals, Packers. Oh, and since the Bengals are playing the Packers, Joe Flacco can become the first quarterback in the Super Bowl era to start and beat the same opponent twice in a season with different teams. That was from DraftKings with that little tidbit. 49ers, Bucks. That might be a good game. Both are 4-1. And then the Lions at the Chiefs on Sunday night. Boy, were they hoping the Chiefs were better at this point. And then, another Monday night doubleheader. Jesus Christ. This far into the season in week 6, Bills at Falcons and Bears at Commanders. But yes, I believe that is it. Let me check Twitter here to make sure. But in the meantime, make sure to leave a like and comment on each video and subscribe to our YouTube channel. Hoagies and Pierogis is available on Spotify, Apple, or wherever you listen to your podcast. And follow us on Instagram for clips throughout the week. And we'll leave you with this. Thank you very much. Much. Recorded in central Pennsylvania in front of a live studio audience with your host, Ian DiCarlo. This is Hoagies and Pierogis.